Harris and I'm a member of the Labour Party, and I'm your candidate for election in Fermanagh and South Tyrone for the Northern Ireland Labour Representation Committee. Today I'm going to focus on the question of Europe. Here in Northern Ireland, we're part of the European Union, just like our neighbours in the south and across the water. The EU is a big deal, not just in its own terms, but for us in Northern Ireland. And right now, it's important that we arm ourselves with the facts, because each and every one of us gets a vote in the upcoming referendum in which the UK will decide whether or not to leave the European Union. As with any important decision, we're faced with costs and benefits. So, the costs first. The EU isn't free. It costs us all money. Anytime you pay tax, some of it goes to the EU, and that's important to recognise. The EU also lays down regulations which for some might prove irksome. The VAT on women's sanitary products is a really good example of when the EU gets something badly wrong. The EU, more importantly, suffers what is called a democratic deficit. In other words, too many decisions being made by people who don't have to run for election. That's bad for democracy, and it makes the EU less legitimate. In spite of all of this, although some members are campaigning for a Brexit, the official position of Labour is that the UK should vote to remain. So, what is the virtue of the EU? Why should we vote to remain? First off, the EU is a huge international player. It is the biggest economy in the world with over 500 million consumers, and membership gives us the ability to influence the rules, and that's important. If we vote to leave, the EU is going to carry on without us, and we'll cease to have a say in what it does and why. Many important changes can be vetoed by a single member state. Right now, that includes us, but not if we vote to leave. Secondly, the EU is an important mechanism of peace and stability. The ability to act together as one is incredibly important, say when we need to stand up to Putin's Russia. The UK adds to the strength of the EU, and it also benefits from it. In a world dominated by China and the United States, where countries like India and Brazil are set to rise in power and influence, the EU allows Europe, including the UK, to compete on a more equal footing. Thirdly, the EU helps us all avoid a race to the bottom by underpinning minimum standards. Here in Northern Ireland, this means a great deal to a lot of different people. Farmers get a good deal from the EU's Common Agricultural Policy. Workers' rights are protected. Discrimination is illegal. Environmental protection standards help to keep our lakes and our beaches and our rivers free from pollution. All of these might be at risk if we were to leave the EU. The EU exemplifies one of the core principles of the labour movement: solidarity. The idea that we are stronger together than we ever are on our own is an old one, and has stood the test of time. United we stand, divided we fall. We in Northern Ireland know the bitter cost of division. Being a part of Europe helps Britain, the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland bridge the gap that divides us. No organisation is perfect, and a vote to remain does not signal a job done. There is much work to be done in making the EU more democratic, more dynamic and more prosperous, and Labour is resolutely committed to helping, not running away and removing our voice from the debate. That's why I favour a vote to remain. That's why my comrades in the Northern Ireland Labour Representation Committee favour a vote to remain. And that's why the Labour Party favours a vote to remain. Thank you.